Good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you all managed to get some rest this weekend. This week is going to be quite the sprint to the finish line. The first activity that you need to complete today is the Hamlet discussion. And I've sent a calendar invitation that includes the time of your meet, the other students in your group, and the link to the actual meet. So you can see if you open your Google Calendar or if you open your Gmail account, you will be able to see this invitation. Again, it shows you the students that are in your meet, it shows you the time that your meet is taking place at, and then you can click on the blue button to join the meet when it's time. Okay. Keep in mind that for this task, you will only be evaluated on your listening and your speaking. Okay, so you are not being evaluated on your general knowledge of the Hamlet play at all. And so the most important thing to keep in mind when you join your meet is that you should be participating and that you should be showing me that you are listening to your peers by sort of building off what they're saying or recognizing or acknowledging what they've stated to then inform your contribution. Okay. I do suggest that you read through the scene in the content one more time this morning before you join your meet to refresh yourself. But again, you don't need to have knowledge of the entire play, just the scene that we're talking about, okay? I have no set questions for this discussion. The intention is that it is a natural conversation between peers, something that would be very common if we were in an in-class setting. And so this is kind of the best way that we can replicate that on an online environment. Okay. Once your discussion is finished, so after you've already had your meet, you have to wait till then. You're going to write a short reflection about your experiences, specifically focusing on the oral contributions and listening that you did within the discussion. Okay. And you're going to submit that to the Hamlet discussion Dropbox. So it has its own Dropbox. And this is where I will be sharing with you your marks, okay? The second thing that you need to do today is you need to complete your second blog post on your summative novel. So at this point, you should be finished reading your summative novel. And keep in mind that this post will help to inform your summative essay that you'll be writing later this week. So I do recommend and encourage you to spend time finding quotes, making connections, because this time will not be wasted. You're going to need it and use it this week on your essay. Okay. Be sure to read and review the feedback that I've provided this weekend on your first blog posts. Okay, because this will definitely inform, how you can improve your mark, how you can move forward. I will be taking just the best mark between your two blog posts. So if you're not happy with your first blog mark, use the feedback, apply it, do better for this one, and then that will be the mark that represents your blogs on the evidence record. Okay. And also keep in mind that if you aren't as happy with this blog post, but you really were happy with your mark on the first blog post, then I will keep that one. Okay. And I have shared with you this document. You can see the link to it here. So these are the instructions for your second blog post. It's very similar to the first one, except that you're applying feminist or the post-colonial literary lens. Okay. And we've done a lot of work on this already. My biggest sort of thing to keep in mind is using, terminology that is connected to the theory. And there was a bit of review for that in the content this week. And to try to include like images, links, anything like that, tags that make it an interactive blog post. Okay. The last thing that you need to do is you need to write a reflection on your podcast that you made on last week using the feedback that I provided. Okay. So submit a brief explanation of 3 strategies that you would use to improve your podcast and an explanation of why they would be effective. And your 3 strategies should address both the media, so the actual construction of the podcast and your understanding of podcast conventions, and your oral communication, so your speaking and your understanding of the podcast you're listening. Okay. And be sure to submit this to the Synthesis Dropbox. So this is the same Dropbox where you submitted your podcast and where the feedback is that I provide